NI combustion analysis runtime open and running, and that'll let us look at some pressure volume diagrams, pressure traces. It'll do some heat release stuff, although we're not really going to get into that today. Excuse me. So one of the things you need to do when you use the combustion analysis software is open up, so we're using combustion analysis runtime, which means it's running on a National Instruments compact DAC chassis that is connected to our computer, in this case over Ethernet. It's a 9188 in this example. And we need to make sure when we run the combustion analysis software that all of the modules in the compact DAC chassis are properly initialized in NI Max before we set them up. So now that I've got everything in Max agreeing with my computer, I can come into CAS and open up or assign the correct module, in this case for the encoder setup, to the combustion analysis software, which, let me drag that main host over so you can take a look at it. So that encoder window you just open up on the encoder setup, and then we'll need to double check our synchronous analog channel to make sure that our cylinder pressure trace has the correct value, and it does. So we've got that set up. Make sure that we have the right channel assigned there, and we'll double check the intake manifold pressure. On this setup, we're only going to look at cylinder pressure on cylinder 1 of the engine, even though we have obviously a 4-cylinder engine. We just have the 1 cylinder instrumented with a spark plug cylinder pressure transducer that we're using. So now that I've got all that set up, I'm going to go ahead and start acquiring data. And we'll take a look at a pressure trace, and you can see the engine's more or less idling at 1100 RPM and 0% throttle position, intake manifold pressure or MAP setting of about 0.28 bar, and so there's the pressure trace. We also have the ability to look at both a PD diagram and a detailed PD diagram, which this is kind of nice, especially for teaching, because it shows you the 4 different strokes on the 4-stroke engine. There's the intake stroke in white, the compression in red, the expansion in green, and then the exhaust in blue. So I'm going to minimize some of these other plots for the time being, move them into the background. One of the other things that we can look at on a table is the mean effective pressure that we can calculate in each cylinder, and you can see basically we've got a indicated power of about 0.2425 kilowatts, so we really are idling the engine. NMEP and PMEP and GMEP values all to go along with that. So we'll come back to these numbers and observe them changing throughout this setup as we kind of actuate some of the various air system things that we have available to us, like variable cam timing and using the turbocharger to increase the flow rate of air through the engine.